Hello, and welcome to The Weight Debate, Axle Loads and Protecting Our Roads. In today's episode of FERMA Road Talk, we're tackling a topic that affects anyone who has ever driven on Nigerian roads, from the everyday commuter to the long-haul truck driver. We've all been there. You're traveling on a highway and suddenly, bam, you hit a pothole the size of a bathtub, or you see an overloaded truck lumbering along, its axle groaning under a mountain of goods. Ever wonder if there's a connection? Spoiler alert, there is.
In this conversational deep dive, we'll explain what axle load limits are and why they matter. We'll explore how overloaded vehicles damage our roads with real Nigerian examples. You might recognize a few. We'll also highlight the role of the Federal Roads Maintenance Agency, FERMA, in keeping our roads in shape, and how they work with the Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, and state authorities to enforce the rules. By the end, you'll understand why preserving our roads is everyone's business, and hear a call to action for both road users and policymakers to play their part. Oh, grab a seat, preferably not on top of a pile of cargo like some of our drivers do, and let's jump into the weight debate.
Let's start with the basics. What exactly is an axle load limit? In simple terms, it's the maximum weight that each axle of a vehicle, think of the axle as the rod connecting two wheels, is allowed to carry on the road. Imagine standing on a wooden bridge. If you're alone, no problem. But if 10 people jump on at once, that bridge might start to strain. Similarly, roads and bridges have weight limits to prevent damage.
In Nigeria, our roads are engineered with specific weight limits in mind. In fact, federal highways are typically designed to handle a maximum total vehicle weight of about 51 tons, and no more than 11.5 tons per axle. These numbers aren't random. They come from engineering standards meant to ensure the road lasts its intended lifespan. You might have even seen road signs from the highway code like "No entry for vehicles having axle load exceeding 8 tons" or "exceeding 12 tons laden weight." Those are telling heavy trucks to stay off certain weaker roads. The idea is to protect those roads from loads they can't bear.
Why do these limits matter so much? Because the relationship between weight and road damage isn't linear, it's exponential. A truck that's slightly overweight causes far more damage than you'd expect. Think of a balloon. A little air is fine, but add too much and pop. The effect is disproportionate. In road engineering, there's a rule of thumb, sometimes called the fourth power law, that says if you double the axle load, you can multiply road damage up to 16 times. In other words, just a few extra tons can be like thousands of extra cars passing over the road in terms of wear and tear.
No wonder then that overloading trucks is a huge concern. It's so common on Nigerian roads that it's not surprising to see vehicles carrying as much as twice the legally permissible axle, their load, as one research study noted. Picture that, a lorry meant to carry, say, 30 tons carrying 60 tons instead. The highway code and the law might say one thing, but out on the tarmac, many trucks are pushing the limit. A national survey in 2008 found that nearly half of the trucks on our roads, about 48%, were overloaded beyond the 11.5 ton per axle limit. And on some key routes, it's even worse. Another study on the Abuja-Lokoja highway revealed almost 94% of 6-axle trucks were exceeding weight limits. These statistics are alarming because when every other truck is overweight, our poor roads barely stand a chance.
So what actually happens to a road when a truck that's too heavy drives over it? Let's visualize it. A well-built road might seem rock solid, but it's a layered structure, sort of like a cake. There's the top icing, the asphalt or concrete, a couple of layers of compacted material beneath, and the foundation soil. When a vehicle passes, especially a heavy one, it pushes down on those layers. Within legal limits, the road can bounce back, like a sponge that's squeezed and released. But when the load is too heavy, the pavement gets stretched beyond its elastic limit. It's like that sponge is being squashed so hard it stays deformed. Over time, this causes various kinds of damage, such as
rutting. Ever notice those long grooves in the pavement on main truck routes? That's rutting. Overloaded trucks press down the road surface, leaving trough-like grooves that can accumulate water and make steering harder. Cracks and potholes. When overloaded trucks strain the pavement, tiny cracks form. Rain and traffic make these cracks grow, letting water weaken the foundation, leading to potholes. Overloading speeds this process, turning smooth roads rough quickly. Complete structural failure. Imagine the scene: a bustling bridge along the Minabida Road, vital for countless heavy-duty trucks. One day, under the strain of relentless overloading, boom! It shudders and collapses, leaving drivers stranded and officials scrambling. This dramatic, sudden failure serves as a potent reminder. Overloaded trucks can turn a solid crossing into a treacherous abyss.
The cumulative effect of all this is that our roads deteriorate much faster than they should. The Federal Ministry of Works designs a highway expecting it to maybe last 15 to 20 years before major repairs. But if overweight trucks pound it daily, that lifespan might be cut in half. Overloaded trucks have been identified as one of the leading causes of road damage and failure in Nigeria. They're right up there with other culprits like poor drainage or substandard construction. But unlike the weather, which we can't control, overloading is a human factor we can control, if we choose to.
And it's not only about the road surface either. All that damage has ripple effects. Vehicles get more wear and tear. Think of your car's shock absorbers and tyres suffering on bad roads. Accidents become more likely, swerving to avoid potholes or breaking an axle in one, and transportation slows down. There's an economic cost. Bad roads jack up the cost of moving goods, which can raise prices in the market. A rough study once estimated that illegally loaded trucks cost the economy millions in additional road maintenance every year. One analysis even suggested that for every £1 invested in enforcing weight limits, about 4.5 naira in road damage repairs could be avoided. That's a huge return on investment for enforcement. Basically, spending a little on prevention saves a lot on repairs.
So who's in charge of fixing our roads when they get damaged? Enter FERMA, the Federal Roads Maintenance Agency. I like to call them the road doctors of Nigeria. FERMA was established in 2002 as the first institutional mechanism to monitor and maintain all federal roads. Their mission is to efficiently and effectively monitor and administer road maintenance with the objective of keeping all federal roads in good and safe conditions. In other words, keeping our roads drivable is FERMA's core job.
FERMA engineers and workers are the folks you see filling potholes, resurfacing failed sections, clearing drainage, and generally patching up our highways. They use what resources they have to extend the life of roads. This is called road asset management, treating the road network as valuable assets that need regular care, just like servicing a car so it doesn't break down. They prioritize which stretches need urgent attention, plan maintenance schedules, and sometimes undertake bigger rehabilitation projects. Road maintenance isn't glamorous, but it's absolutely vital. As FERMA often reminds us, a stitch in time saves 9 when it comes to road repairs. Fix a small crack now or face a big crater later.
However, FERMA can't do it alone. It's like trying to mop the floor while the tap is still running. If trucks keep overloading and causing damage, FERMA will be stuck in a costly cycle of continual repairs. That's why FERMA collaborates closely with enforcement agencies and state governments to tackle the overloading problem at its source. They work hand in hand with the Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, and others to protect the road infrastructure.
What does FRSC have to do with it? Well, while FERMA fixes roads, FRSC helps police the roads. The FRSC is known mostly for ensuring safety and reducing accidents, but part of that safety mandate includes preventing practices that destroy roads and lead to crashes, like overloading. FRSC officials carry out roadside checks, and yes, they monitor weighbridges, weight stations, at various points on major highways to monitor truck weights. If you're a truck driver, you're probably familiar with these weigh stations. When a vehicle is suspected of carrying more than it should, officers can direct it onto a scale. Overloading is officially a traffic offence. It even has its own code, OVL, in the FRSC's offence list, and it carries penalties. Offenders can be fined, and in some cases the vehicle might be impounded until the extra load is offloaded.
In early 2024, FRSC really stepped up the game on this. The Corps Marshal directed commanding officers nationwide to wage war against overloading. There were public announcements, campaigns to educate truckers, and a clear message that overloading would no longer be tolerated. This came after some horrific crashes involving overloaded trucks made headlines. For instance, a trailer overloaded with grains and passengers tragically crashed in Kaduna, killing 12 people. A grim reminder that overloading isn't just an infrastructure issue, it's a safety issue too. The FRSC's crackdown means if you're driving an overweight truck, your chances of getting caught are higher than ever. Their slogan is, "Overloading is as dangerous as speeding," and they mean it.
State governments are also crucial in this collaboration. Many secondary state roads suffer when truckers divert off the federal highways, often to evade weigh stations or checkpoints. In fact, some states have tried banning heavy trucks on certain vulnerable roads. We saw that in the Minna-Bida Road example. The Niger state government had prohibited big trailers from using that road during construction, but enforcement at night was a challenge. The solution? Better enforcement tools and cooperation across federal state lines. If a truck is turned back at a weigh station on a federal highway, it shouldn't be able to just sneak onto a smaller state road with impunity.
FERMA's role in all this is often behind the scenes but pivotal. They provide the data and justification for why these measures are needed. FERMA knows which roads are failing and why. They conduct road condition surveys and can pinpoint hotspots where overloading is doing the most damage. This information helps the FRSC decide where to deploy personnel or where to station new weighbridges. FERMA also advises the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing on policy. In recent times, the Standards Organization of Nigeria, SON, working with the Ministry of Transportation, started enforcing calibration of all weighbridges across the country. This means the scales at ports, border crossings and highways are being standardized so that no one can cheat the scale. The goal, as the government stated, is to ensure that weighbridges at the ports and loading bays are fully accurate to prevent further damage to roads by overloading. FERMA supports such initiatives because they all feed into the same mission: preserve our road assets for long-term use.
As we wrap up today's discussion, one thing should be clear. Protecting our roads from overweight damage is not just the government's job, it's on all of us. Every stakeholder has a role to play in ending this weight debate and coming out on the side of safety and sustainability.
Thank you for listening to The Weight Debate, Axle Loads and Protecting Our Roads. If you found this episode of FERMA Road Talk enlightening, please share it with others, drivers, policymakers, your community. Let's continue the conversation and work together to protect our road infrastructure. After all, a well-maintained road is more than just asphalt and concrete. It's the path to development, unity, and progress. Drive safe, and until next time, let's keep those axles in check for the sake of our road.